Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Have you ever reached a point where you are tired of thinking, tired of worrying, and tired of trying to figure everything out? Maybe there's something happening in your life right now that you don't understand. You have prayed about it, you have cried about it, you have tried to solve it, and still nothing seems to be changing. If that is where you are today, I want you to hear these words from Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. These words are simple, but they carry a powerful message. God is telling you, stop struggling as if everything depends on you. Be still because I am God. Being still does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming lazy. And it does not mean that you stop doing what God has called you to do. Being still means learning to trust God when you cannot see what He is doing. Sometimes we become so consumed by our problems that we forget who is bigger than our problems. We look at the size of the mountain and forget the greatness of our God. We look at the closed door and forget that God can open doors no human being can shut. We look at tomorrow and become afraid because we don't know what tomorrow holds. But God already knows. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know who holds tomorrow. This is where faith begins. Think about how often worry takes away our peace. You lie down at night, but your mind keeps working. What if this happens? What if I lose this? What if things don't work out? What if my family is not okay? What if the future doesn't look the way I hoped? And before you know it, you are carrying tomorrow's problems today. But Psalms 46:10 invites you to stop. Be still, take a breath, release the situation into God's hands, and remember who He is. He's not confused, He's not worried, He's not surprised by what you're facing. God sees the beginning, the middle, and the end. There are reasons when God allows us to walk through uncertainty because He wants to teach us something deeper than simply receiving an answer. He wants to teach us trust. Sometimes we ask God, Lord, when will you change my situation? But God may be asking, will you trust me while you are waiting? That is a powerful question because faith is not only believing God when everything is going well. Faith is believing Him when nothing makes sense. Faith says, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. God, I don't know how this will work out, but I know you are with me. God, I cannot see the way forward, but I believe you can make a way. That is what it means to be still and know that He is God. Notice that the verse does not simply say be still. It says be still and know that I am God. Your stillness is connected to knowing God. The more you know Him, the easier it becomes to trust Him. When you remember His faithfulness, you don't have to panic over your future. When you remember His promises, you don't have to let fear control your heart. When you remember what He has already brought you through, you can face today with confidence. Maybe you are still listening to this right now and your heart is heavy. Maybe you have been praying for a breakthrough. Maybe you're waiting for healing in a relationship. Maybe you're waiting for a job. Maybe you're believing God for provision. Maybe you're carrying a burden that you have not told anyone about. I want to remind you, God sees you. Your tears are not invisible to Him. Your prayers are not forgotten. Your waiting season is not wasted. Even when God seems silent, He is still God. Even when you cannot see Him working, He is still working. And even when the situation looks impossible, God is still greater than the situation. So today, stop carrying what God has asked you to surrender. You don't have to have everything. You don't have to have every answer. You don't have to know every detail. You don't have to understand every delay. You simply need to know your God. And when fear says you are going to lose everything, remind yourself, be still and know that He is God. When anxiety says nothing will ever change, say, be still and know that He is God. When you feel forgotten, say, be still and know that He is God. When you don't know what tomorrow will bring, say, be still and know that He is God. Let those words become more than a Bible verse. Let them become your response to life's storms. Because your peace does not come from knowing what will happen next. Your peace comes from knowing who is with you and that God is greater than anything you are facing. So take a moment right now, close your eyes if you can, take a deep breath and surrender that situation you've been carrying. Tell God, Father, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how everything will work out, but I choose to trust you. I release my fear. I release my worry. I release my need to control everything. And I choose to be still and know that you are God. Remember this today. You may be waiting, but God is not late. You may be surrounded by uncertainty, but God is not confused. You may not see the way, but God already knows the way. Be still, trust Him, keep praying, keep believing, and keep walking with God. Because the same God who carried you through yesterday will give you grace for today and strength for tomorrow. Be still and know that I am God. Psalms 46:10. If this message encouraged you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who may be struggling today. And remember, God is still even in the middle of a storm. Amen.